everybody, DeathsStalker here. So it's September 1st on the time I'm actually recording this, on a beautiful sunny warm day, and it's September 1st. Those days are numbered. Now depending on where you live, like in Ontario, we tend to get a little bit longer riding season, but if you happen to live in the prairies or even on the East Coast, the temperature can very quickly change to the not nice weather that we like to call winter. And it's pretty much the same thing with the northeastern U.S. Like their weather is on the decline, just like ours. It happens every year. Now, of course, the thing about it is that, you know, we're sliding into what's now autumn, or what we call fall, and it sort of sneaks up on you if you're not really paying attention as a motorcyclist. So the science part of it is, of course, the Earth is actually angled, you know, a few degrees off of level, and because of that, you know, as it goes around the sun, eventually you get to a point where, because of the angle, you're further away from the sun, therefore you get winter. And the people near the equator, they don't get it because they're even the furthest away from the sun, it's still hot. So what happens as we start sliding in now is, and you see it, just look at your weather reports. The morning it's a little bit cooler, you know, the sun is rising later, it's setting earlier, and what's happening is the Earth, you know, the planet, the asphalt that you're riding on, isn't soaking up as much heat as it does in, you know, from May, June, July, and August. And as the ground starts to cool in those mornings, when you go out to ride, the traction that you had in July or August isn't there anymore. So what you have to be aware of is, in those cool mornings in late September, and if you're able to ride into October, the ground is actually going to be very cold, and your tires are going to be cold. The traction, because the rubber's not warmed up enough properly to work, is just not going to be there. And that's where you get a situation where, you know, you can be driving down the road, you drive down every day for 6 months, never had a problem, and all of a sudden you hit the brakes and you're down. Or you give a little too much gas and the back tire spins out and you're down. Or you're coming around the corner and you're leaned over, you know, gently like this, and you touch the brakes a hair, or maybe try to travel through it like you normally do in June, July, and you slide off the ground, slide off into the shoulder or the ditch. That is just the way it is as the weather changes. So you have to be more aware of it. You have to, you know, manage your throttle hand and your brake fingers a little bit more cautiously. So cut down on the Marquezing of on the street for this time of year, because even Mark crashes, and you don't want to be spending the rest of the season you have wearing a cast or in traction, or even worse. Now the other problem you have is, you know, we have leaves on the trees here right now, and as the weather starts to change, depending on what trees you have, somebody has taken up the stop sign again. Oh jeez. At least 7-8 times a year. The leaves come down and they hit the ground, and in some cases, especially when it's wet, they'll stay on the road, and the last thing you want to do is drive through a pile of leaves and hit the brakes, because, you know, you're braking a distance on leaves is non-existent. Same thing with accelerating and cornering, for that matter. So it's not something that you really want to try to experiment with. And wet leaves are even worse than just leaves. So you have to be cautious. Again, you know, we get a lot of rain in the fall because it just happens to be the weather, and with that you get another problem on your traction. So you need to sort of be aware of all that. Now, I no doubt there's probably people out there that have done really good videos about what to look for and what to be careful of what to be careful of. But I'm just sort of giving you a heads up here. As to why this guy is driving under the speed limit. But COVID drivers. So I'm just sort of trying to give you the heads up that, you know, as the weather changes, you know, we're getting less and less of it, to be a little more careful. I was riding motorcycles up to December one year, and in a little patch of rain, then came around a corner and hit a freshly painted line on my motorcycle, and I ended up dropping my bike. And you know, it wasn't a serious crash, but it was a crash that was definitely exasperated by the weather, because I definitely wasn't traveling fast enough to fall off. Like, the bike hit the ground and I got up and took 2 steps to shut it off, so it gives you an idea how slow I was going. So you just need to keep your head up and be aware of what's going on. So other than that, enjoy the rest of the riding season. And if you live down someplace where there's riding season all year round, we up in the north, we hate you. Just kidding. DeathsStalker, signing off.